Hi, in this video I will show you an example how to load a list in React 17, 18, something plus with hookless and stateless. So that's a little bit much for the beginning, but what we see here in the background is an example how to load a list from my backend where I have my code documentations or script documentations for my blog. So this is a list, and I solved this stuff in React, and what I want to show you here is the small code example. So I created my package under React, and it was done here in, when we have a look on it, React 18. And so we are working now not with the classes, we are working with hooks, and that's the difference. We start now here with the application in source. There is the app.js. I created this by npx create React application. Then I got a name. And then you have always there the app.js, and inside the app.js that's the output, or the official view from outside. So this is called app. And there's the app function, which is this one goes on there, says okay, function, that's the function, and finally it says that's the output. So app, and in the app is the create me HTML stuff, and inside the HTML, that's the HTML stuff. Looks like this. It's called React RS React RS something, don't know the word for it. it's semi HTML, so it's div container, and this one is a list object, a component, and like in all stateless, in all SPA applications, single page applications in Angular or Vue or so, you always create components. And inside there, in the component, I created a file.jsx. I created it manually. And inside the list, there is inside the list JSX, which means it's you see it on the icon. It's React stuff. There I said the following stuff. I said, create me a React and use effects and use state from React. That's what we need. This is code stuff which enables to do React on our side, on our component. That's the output again, where we say if there is something, if a module is, if there's a variable which is loading, then show the loading stuff. If there are data, then give out my data. And if everything is, if nothing works, if loading is done and the other stuff is not working, then say there's no data. So it's quite easy. And so when I push this button, you see the running, and it gives me values very fast. So and now going back here on this example, what may we do? In the beginning I say export, that's give me a name. So this is the official stuff from the outside. Export default function list. This means from the outside I have the list, and the list is in here. That's what I say. Import list from components list / components list. That's in always the same, and then from list, and then with the ending /. So this is embedded now in my app, and then I say create me some variables. So I'm not saying here private is loading, or like in TypeScript is loading as Boolean. I will say here const is loading, that's the variable which is defined by then, and that's the setting of the that's a method which I may call a function which I may call to set this data. Equals use state, and that's the initial stuff is use state false. And then here this is give me an array or something. It's not TypeScript, you don't need to define it. Data, you may set it by set data. You see there's something here on here. We come to the code later. And then initialize it by null. So create a null array or what else, and say this is a variable, Boolean variable, which is initialized as false. So by this is automatically a Boolean. Then we say I want that it's loading at the beginning. So I say use effect. That's the function, the way how to run a function in the beginning. Use effect, create an array function or initialize a function, arrow goes to, then the brackets. So at the beginning, run a function fetch data and initialize that stuff with an empty array. Then there comes the fetch data. That's the fetch data async function, which says set is loading to true. So this means that here we come, is loading is, so we say the set is loading sets a value on this variable. So set is loading to true, and then try to do something. If it fails, catch the error on here. Finally do switch off the loading. So now we come to the how do we get the data. We say try the following. Try const response. It's always the same. Make a response and await for await for data. So this line will resume. It will wait as long as it's necessary, and then it resumes on that stuff. It's written in the and by the await, it waits for the response, but it doesn't block the system. So we say const response equals await fetch. Fetch is get data. Then I say, okay, here this is my local data. In this case, my website, my API running in here. So that's in this case ASP API. Then I say API article. So this is the controller, and then a get list. We soon go to this point, and then const JSON. Convert that stuff, all what you get there. There's a lot of text in there. Convert it to something useful. So this is an array, and from the JSON, so transfer JSON, always the data in the future are always JSON format, and then it's a set to data, and set data is the method to load the data, and this means when the data is there, if data is there, then return create to the React DOM a new diff value, and the diff value is diff around, and then data map. So this means the array which is coming in should be mapped into it's like for each item goes to item, create a diff element, and there set the key to a unique ID. That's necessary for React, that it creates unique elements. And then we say item content title in this case. So we switch now to our stuff here on our in the browser. In the browser we see here in the browser we type F12, and in F12 we switch to sources, and in sources we have here the source module. So under static.js It's not really static, but it creates a static element. Static JavaScript source components, and then there's the list JSX, and in that stuff we have now this stuff which I explained from my code. That's my code. In there we say that's the const, that's the loading, and we say hey, take this stuff we are loading. So I'm jumping on there, it's running, it gets the data, so it fetched the data, the data are now in the response, and in the response, when we have a look on the response, we can't read the response. We know there's a URL and it got back a response. Now we say with F10 we are moving one block further. Now we are by this command JSON to convert JSON to a new variable, and in this type it's a constant because we don't modify it anymore. Then we have the results in there, and that's what we see in here. We see here the results, and now inside there, that's the stuff which I get from my web API, from any web API. I don't know what's coming in. And now we say, okay, this content underscore title will be shown in here. So I will say here, whenever it sets now the data, let's have a look if the data, if we see the data in here. No, I can't see it at the moment. I mean, this data which is there, it's not necessary to show this now. Now when we set it in the next moment, so when I jump on set and then moving on, then it will be loaded. You see, it's loading very fast. It's different to Angular. Angular is extremely slow. I don't like Angular anymore because this one is the real one. That's a lot faster. And now, yeah, what it does now, as soon as the data are available, if data are available, exist, then we map and loop through all those elements, and there we say item, so single item, loop this one for item, and the item it goes to content. So this is my example which I've written. Maybe I will take my code on this. I will write my code on another on my Blogger website, and from there you may get this one. And I will add the link to the video.